I think it still will be applicable because if you're looking at like the good old theories from the 50s from advertising psychology, they still are relevant, in my opinion. So I think, of course, we will have to adapt it to new situations, like basically every day, but they will still play a role, I think.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Dr. Chris Parker. January is here, December is over, so we are back. And this week, we're going to be talking about psychology. User experience design is all about getting people to feel great and solving their problems in ways that nothing else quite does, and it touches you in a way which you might not be able to explain, but you really enjoy it. So it's no surprise that psychology really is important to underpin everything that we do as designers. If we understand how our customers feel, how they think, if we understand that the principles of how the mind works, it stands to reason that we can design better products, we can make better interfaces. So it's quite amazing that a lot of UX designers are not really keyed up on the basics of psychology or even what psychology is. So today we're going to be addressing that. We're going to be talking to Hellen Pitikaris, and she is Head of Conversion Rate-Optimierung and User Experience at Morefire GmbH. She is an expert in creating these kind of experiences with consumers that speak to you, and it feels like it's speaking to the kind of person you are. And this interface, this experience, is the right one for you to be going down. So we're going to be talking about how to craft the experiences, how to learn the basic psychology, and how to apply it to the designs you're working on now and in the future as we look towards virtual reality and augmented reality interfaces. I really hope you enjoy this interview. It was a fantastic experience sitting down with Hellen. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. So Hellen, can you tell me about what is psychology's role in UX design?
I think it plays a huge role in like every aspect of user experience. Basically, or in general, it helps us to understand why certain things work and why others don't. And then it starts with the basics, I think, like the psychology of perception. So we're talking about the concept of attention, for example. So user experience starts way before the user turns or comes to our website, of course. So we have to grab his attention first. So if we are speaking about display advertising, for example, we have to make sure that the user pays attention to our banner ad. And then when we got him to enter our website, then the first few seconds are extremely important, I think. We have to make sure that the user is able to see everything in these first seconds that help him understand that he's in the right place, that we can help him, and that we can solve his problem, stuff like that. So, we have to just make sure that the right elements are perceived here. And then still talking about perception psychology, it is about information processing as well, because our website has to be structured in a way that the user is able to get all the information we want to give to him. And basically also the mechanics of information storage. So in an ideal case, the user remembers in 3 weeks, still remembers what we told him. And ideally, we're top of mind for him. So that would be like only the basics where I think psychology plays an important role. And then we have to talk about the more subjective factors, like what's the user's personal intention, what are his problems, what are his wishes, his desires, so on. And how can we address him? So we have to find out who our user is. And psychology can help us here as well to segment our target group and to find out how to address them.
It's a whole wide range of skills that you need to be able to do this effectively. Now, I'm guessing that most designers can't go off and do a psychology degree. So what are the kind of basic skills that somebody could pick up and learn to get better at everything you're talking about?
I think this would be, so we're talking about UX designers here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think the total basic is empathy, and I listened to a couple of your previous episodes, and I think that's what everybody says, right? So just think about who your target group is, try to think yourself into your user and see it from his point of view. That would be the first thing, which is very, very important. And then I think it always helps because people are so often saying, make emotional content, write emotional texts, but emotional in general doesn't help us, right? So we need to know what emotion we want to trigger. And for that, it is always useful to know like at least one or two personality models from psychology that you can use for that. So my favorite model here is the Limbic Approach by Dr. Hans-Georg Heusel, but I already know that this is not that common in the UK, I think. Is that right?
It's not that common, but I'd love you to be the pioneer for this coming into the UK.
Okay, so I'll try to make a short introduction because it's a very detailed approach. Basically, it consists of 3 basic emotion systems which determine a user's personality. So these are first dominance, then stimulant and balance. And every system has 2 sides. So one that he strives for and another side that the system accordingly wants to avoid. And for dominance, this would be longing for power, for enforcement, and avoiding powerlessness. Then the stimulant system, which is always longing for excitement, new thrills, new stimuli, wants to avoid boredom. And the balance system, which is longing for basically stability, security, and wants to avoid uncertainty and danger. And these 3 basic emotion systems, they are arranged in a circle in a so-called limbic map. And resulting from this map, there are 7 types of persons or 7 personality types. And the great thing about this approach is that there are keywords assigned to each area of the map and to also each of the types. And if you know where your type is located, where your target group is located, you can directly use these keywords. They represent motives, preferences, and so on. And you can directly use these words for your ad copies. You can try to translate them onto image material. You can just use them for your whole website design, I think. And this is something very helpful, I think, if you're an UX designer.
That's really interesting because we had Joe McGovern on the other week, and he's done amazing work for World Health Organization and I think Toyota and people like that. And he said that when you look at what people care about on websites and we just cut to what they want to do, it doesn't really matter the kind of person. Everyone wants the same thing. So are you saying something different, or is it a different approach that we're talking here?
I'm not. So I would agree to a certain extent, because of course there's a website or a landing page. It has a goal you can achieve there, or different goals. And people go there to buy something, to, I don't know, get some information, stuff like that. So I would agree to that, of course. And we should make it easy for them, which doesn't necessarily depend on the personality type. But if we want to convince people, we have to address their motives, and they are not always the same, at least in my experience. And they, depending on the product, of course. So there are products which are okay, doesn't matter, doesn't have to be emotional, like toilet paper, let's say. And no? You didn't agree?
I was thinking of, in the land of COVID, toilet paper is very emotional.
Okay. Bad example.
No, I think it's a good example.
Yeah, but anyways, I think we all need it. So, we do not necessarily have to get too emotional here, because it's a basic need. But there are other products which are highly emotional. And I think we have to take that seriously. And if we adapt our advertising material to the personality of our users or what we think the users are like, then this has a massive impact on our conversion rate, at least in my experience.
Okay, that's really fascinating. So if I'm just about to set up my new shop, I'm going to make a new clothes shop looking at retro fashion. The really sad thing is, I spoke to my student the other day and he said retro fashion and vintage fashion is from 2000s. Okay. Makes me feel very young. So anyway, how can I find out which of these 7 parts my customers fit into so I can start designing for them?
It's depends on the database you have. In a lot of cases, we lack a solid databases, I have to say. So if we, for example, ask our clients, okay, who's your target group? They very often say, basically everybody or all women. And of course, that's not that helpful. So we have to take a look at the data we can get. And this could be something, it could basically be everything. So maybe in your example, you have a certain target group in mind already. So we could talk about that and find out, okay, where are they located? And then we can also make conclusions from socio-demographical data, like age, gender, stuff like that. And we can always look up stuff in, for example, Facebook. So if you already have a Facebook account for your brand or a fan page, and we can go to the insights and have a look at what your fans also like. And if they like adventure vacation, they are likely to be more stimulant people, for example. And of course, this can only gives us clues. We have to test it. So if we have an image in our head, we just should go ahead, at least in my opinion, and test it on the page, and then we'll see what works and what doesn't.
So that'd be click-through rate, or what metric would you use to define success?
Depending on the traffic you have. So if you have enough traffic, it would definitely be conversions. So in your case, it would be sales. Mm-hmm. And but sometimes we have less traffic, and then we have to use soft conversions, scroll depth, or how many pages did the user view and stuff like that. It depends very much on the case, the product, and how much traffic you have.
Okay, so I'm guessing that most UX designers must be interested in psychology. It's really hard to have this empathy-driven design area and not care about people. So why is it that these 7 types connect so powerfully with the personality types? And what is it about which makes this system so powerful?
You mean the Limbic Approach, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think I especially like this approach because it's so usable for our use case for online marketing in general. There have already been dozens of studies that already have been conducted. We can get insights from. We know a lot about. They have this division in different types of web. So one would be happy web, then care web. Care web would be for people who are very balance orientated. So there are already a lot of insights we can use, and I think that makes it so usable and so good. And what I also like about it is that it comes from the area of neuromarketing, and you could measure a lot of it in a way. So we're not looking at our users' blood, of course we don't. But if you would do that, you could look at the concentration of different hormones and neurotransmitters. And I think that's nice to know that this comes, there's proof for it in a way. It's not something somebody thought about and said, okay, now it is that way.
I guess we could use something like eye tracking to do a bit of A/B testing of which is getting the attention first? Would that not be a good metric?
Yeah, it would be a very good metric. We're doing that all the time. Yeah. Especially, of course, for the first few seconds, which I already mentioned are so important. And yeah, totally.
Because we started using some AI-driven eye tracking called iQuant, and I'd be really fascinated to run a study of maybe 7 websites designed to this approach for different people, and take the AI-driven version against the real thing, and see, can the computer detect these kind of differences? I guess it wouldn't. What do you think?
So we've been using this tool for the last 10 years, and I have really good experience with it. So every time, from time to time, I'm testing it with real people. Of course, no eye tracking study, but 5-second test or something. And I think it's a very, very good tool. And yeah.
So think about yourself and what got you into psychology. Did you start out as a psychologist, or did you start out as a designer? How did you get to where you are today?
I started with design. So I did a bachelor degree in communication design, I think it's 10 years ago or something. And back then with a strong emphasis on 3-dimensional design. So retail design, exhibition design, stuff like that. And to be honest, I never saw myself working in online marketing, never back then. And after my bachelor, I did some smaller jobs and internships. And what bothered me back then was that the conceptual part in these jobs was missing. It was all about how to make things pretty and beautiful. But what I wanted to do was making things work. And if you want to know if something works, you have to measure it, of course. And measurability is, it's difficult when you're doing offline advertising or retail. And that's how I ended up in online marketing, I think. So after that, I did a traineeship as an online marketing manager with a focus on SEA. And then I was able to see what worked, but the next step was to understand why this works. And I was always interested in psychology anyways. And I started my master's degree in business psychology because it was possible at a distance learning course. And so I decided to do it alongside my job. I planned it as kind of a hobby, which very quickly turned out that it's a second full-time job. But today I'm glad that I did it. And design and psychology together with the online marketing skills I gained during my professional life so far, they complemented each other very well, I think.
So after you've learned these new skills, the new science approach, how did that change how you worked as a designer?
That is quite hard to say because I think my experience as an online marketing manager, I didn't do that much design at that point. And then my psychological know-how I gained, they were blending smoothly into each other over time. So I think most of the time unconsciously, but even today, so really consciously every time I do a concept for a landing page or a website for a client, of course, I keep that in mind. And when we are creating personas, so buyer personas for our clients, that helps very, very much. And I don't know if I would be able to do that without the psychology studies. It would at least look a little different. And then also consciously, I use it every time I have the feeling that something is wrong. For example, if a design goes out to a client and I have the feeling this won't work, I start to ask myself, okay, why? What could the problem be?
So what's the process? Where would you go to books, or is it your own knowledge, or where do you go to find this information out?
It depends. So there's a lot of information online, of good information online that you can get. We have a lot of books in our agency, which I ordered at some point because I thought that they were important and everybody should know about it. And sometimes I just think about it in a different way than I did before I studied psychology, just because I have a different approach and a different view on design than before.
So to put you on the spot, can you name any books which you'd recommend people to look at to learn about some of these approaches?
Dr. Heuse, which is the Limbic guy, I think it's really available online. It's just called Limbic, but I can look it up if I have a link for that. And then definitely the basics of advertising psychology. I don't know if this is also a German thing, but there are these basics like Moser and Felser, which are like 50 years old, but still really good. And you should know about that, about the basics. And then it depends on what you are doing and what you want to achieve.
With the kind of work that you find the most useful, would that appear on an undergraduate course, for example, or is it a very different field?
I'm not sure about that, because maybe it would, like on a basic business psychology course, at least some of the approaches, but most of the master I did, it was 99% about the good old theories, which are like 50 years old. And if you're doing online marketing, maybe that's not the best for you. I think today there are much more UX courses around you can do, but back then that was not the case. So I'm not really sure about that.
That's okay. I mean, what do you think people misunderstand what you're talking about? So when you go, we're going to have psychology-informed design of a website or convincing our customers, do people misunderstand this in a different way?
Totally. I think very often people understand it as either some kind of magic, which is not the case, or some kind of manipulation. So negatively spoken. And I think clients very often want to hear, write this or that word in your headline and your conversion rate will double immediately, things like that. And this is, of course, not the way it works. So psychology gives us like a whole lot of insights, a whole lot of lessons learned, techniques, instruments that we can use, but we still have to use them. So we still have to test, we still have to adapt our websites, and basically it's a whole lot of work. So it's no magic at all. And I think it's neither magic nor manipulation, because at least in my opinion, if somebody doesn't want to go anywhere, you can't tell him or make him buy a flight just by implementing a counter or something. It's not possible.
I think everyone hopes you can do that. Just kind of, come on, designer, sell.
Of course.
So whenever I look at other UX courses or just looking at industry about what everyone thinks you should know, the two things that always come up for me, either the gestalt principles or dark UX. And they're kind of, they're worlds apart, but it's kind of, those are the two things I always hear.
Yeah, that's true. So you mean if they're still relevant?
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I think totally. Because I think as a UX designer, you need this aesthetic eye, I would call it. So this feeling for what is good, what works, what doesn't. And I work together with a lot of colleagues which are specialists in SEO, SEA and stuff like that. And they don't understand. And in the moment, when we're talking about these principles, you can make them understand. So I think they are still relevant. Those are like the basics, and they furthermore can help us explain to like non-designers why this has to be that way. Because you get more acceptance as if you say just, no, okay, that's not good, we're not doing that. So this way you can explain it, why it's not good.
Do you ever get people thinking about trying to use dark UX patterns in design work, either want to use it or shy away from it?
I think we never really talked about that. Like I have 2 UX designers in my team, and this is not really a topic. So to be honest, No, this is not really a topic, but I think so. If you're making a website, or if you have these skills to do things in online marketing, if you have the skill set and the psychological skills and all that stuff, so there comes a responsibility with that, of course. So you have to need to use this carefully and ideally for a good purpose. But still, even dark UX, I don't think you can force people to do stuff they really don't want online. I think that's not working, at least in my experience.
So if you were to take somebody into your design team, what skills are you looking for that would make them a really successful person?
So I was talking about critical thinking because I think it is so important that we question our own point of view again and again, and have the willingness to overthink that, because we when we're dealing with the same product for a longer period of time, for example, one website, then we tend to think we would know how it works anyways. But that is not always the case, and especially in the online marketing context where things are changing daily. It is very important to question your own point of views. And then I would say the ability to talk to people and most of all listen to them. When we're doing a website for a client or buyer personas or something, we always talk to the customer service of our client, because they are the ones who are the closest to the users and their customers. So I think important as well that you're able to listen and ask the right questions.
So it's going back to what we started with about some empathy being a really important skill.
Yes, it is totally.
So one thing to think about, you're saying about when you started out, you wanted to find out about how things work and measure things and really understand rather than just have things looking pretty. Do you think that you can have both, things that are really beautiful and really functional, or is there one or the other?
I think you can have both. Depending on, beautiful is highly subjective, of course. But our approach is, of course, to make websites that are also beautiful. But I think functionality is more important. Sometimes there are clients coming to us who want a new website, and they only talk about how they want it to look. So, and that they want it to be flashy and fancy, and they do not even think about what the goal of this website is. So you ask them, okay, which goal you want to achieve? We don't know. So they don't say we don't know, but I know that they often didn't think about that. So I think functionality is more important, of course, but it is possible to do both.
Mm-hmm. So think about the projects that you've run as marketing, design and psychology. Which of the projects are you most proud of?
There's one project I'm doing at the moment, which I'm really, really proud of, but it's not that it's the most representative or something. It is non-profit for a friend. He says he has a small shop where he sells mattresses. So they produce mattresses which are healthy for your back and stuff like that. And I don't know how it is in the UK, but in Germany, the competition is really, really hard when it comes to that industry. And it was not easy for him. And a colleague of mine who's in SEO and me, we said, okay, we will help you, and optimized the shop a little, did some Google ads, did some SEO. And now, he has a whole lot of clients and is very happy. And I'm really proud about that, because this may not be the most beautiful website we ever did, but it helped a lot. And I think it is a skill set we have so that we can use it to get an audience for people who don't know how to themselves. I think that's the reason why I'm proud about this.
So are you more motivated by helping other people in your work? Or is there other things that drive you forward?
I think my motivation really is helping other people make things work. That's what drives me, I think. I never thought about that, to be honest.
So what inspires you?
I think another tough question. I think it's the fact that what I just said, it's the fact that I am able to help other people get an audience who have a message to share or a great product, which I personally am convinced of. Those are the best clients, right? Who have a product that you yourself would buy, that you like, that you think is good for the whole world, basically. So, that would be what inspires me.
So do you think that more UX designers should be going out there doing a bit more, it's not charity, but being a bit more open to other people?
Yes, definitely. The thing is that I totally understand. So when you're doing your job for years and you're an expert in your job, like you get a little, I don't know how the English word is, but I have to look it up.
Don't worry, I won't embarrass you with my German. So your English is far superior.
Okay, perfect. No, but I think that people start at some point, and that is not only for UX designers, that is for everybody who does his job or her job for a long time. Like you start ignoring what's right and left of you. And that's the reason why I think it is useful and to just open up from time to time and look around and maybe help others with non-profit or whatever projects.
Mm-hmm. So going back again to about learning all these skills and how you acquire all this information. If you were to redesign, let's say, a college course, a university course, what would you like to see students do that maybe they're not doing at the moment?
When it's about UX designers, so again, I didn't study UX design, so I don't know what is a part of this course. But what I would like to see is like a more holistic approach. Like as I already mentioned in the beginning, that the user experience starts long before a user enters your website. So it's not just about the website designer. It's about everything that happened before, all the touch points the user had. And this like a bigger picture should be conveyed because I think it's so important.
So when we're applying the Limbic approach, it wouldn't just be the app or the website, it would be all materials. Is that correct?
Yeah, ideally it would be. So of course, like we have a certain budget in reality and personal resources and time resources. But ideally I would test it out. And if I got this, if I know who my target group is, then of course, like adapt everything, adapt your ads, your SEO texts, your targeting as well.
So you've really got to understand the entire process rather than focusing on just the UI.
Yeah, totally. Because, so you don't sell a product or you don't, you don't sell products by having a nice website, but you sell products if you convince somebody. And this is not, so it doesn't only happen on the website itself. So this is important for our clients. If they want to sell their stuff, we have to take a look at this bigger picture, definitely.
I said that people misunderstand psychology a lot. They think it's magic. Do they always assume it's going to be used in just one area and they get surprised that it applies to everything?
Yes, I think they do sometimes. Totally. But this also happens to myself, for example. Sometimes even I forget that this could be an important aspect right now, only because sometimes we just accept the things we have to work with, and not every client is open to that. And you get used to it in a way. So if the client wants us to optimize this landing page, we're optimizing this landing page. Of course, we ask questions, what happens before and after, but that's basically it, because to be honest, that's what we're paid for in that moment. So,
So then we go into the soft skills that everyone needs about managing client relationships.
Yeah, in a way.
So with all the work that you're doing and all the projects that you come up against, I won't ask you to drop clients' names. What are the things that you find the most challenging?
To find like the right way between what would be ideal in my mind and what the client wants and what is possible in reality. Because as I already said, there's a certain budget, there's a certain deadline, stuff like that. And very often I would like to optimize it all, but this is not possible every time.
So how do you go about finding the way through this problem? How do you solve it?
Okay. I don't know if I have a strategy for that, to be honest. Like, you want the client to be happy in the end, of course, because he's the one who pays you for your work. But you also would like to be proud of what you did and not only do what he tells you because, he's the one paying the bill. I think it depends on what clients. Sometimes there are clients which you can, so we also have great clients. This may sound a little negative, that's what I meant. But sometimes you can argument with the client and maybe he will change his mind. So that happens. And if he doesn't, you have to find a way we're both fine with. I think there's no general strategy behind it. At least I don't know about such a strategy.
So I said before about when you, like gestalt principles are really useful because everyone gets on the same page, everyone can understand them.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any design work that maybe is not too complicated for the client to understand, but it's outside of their current knowledge? Do you ever find that causes problems when trying to convey the design? Or do they just go, okay, it's based on psychology, I'm okay with this?
It is easier. So I think if you have arguments and you say, okay, it's psychology based, to be honest, it is, they more often approve it. As if to argue by, okay, but you don't do that way. So this works out quite well. And sometimes people just stick to their opinion. You can't do anything about it. Like some clients have a vision of what they want and they don't care if it's a good or bad idea. That also happens. People are different.
So obviously in your career, you've been quite successful to get where you are. What do you think's helped you develop as a person and developing skills?
I think, of course, it is all the stuff I learned at university. So starting from the communication design study to the psychological study, but I think most of it is my practical professional experience. So all the A/B tests I was able to do with real persons on real projects with real data, I was able to read out and retest. And also all the insights I gained from my colleagues. We're 84 colleagues at the moment at Morefire. These are a whole lot of experts in different departments of online marketing, which also totally helps develop.
That's really interesting. So it's really interesting talking to you about all these things. And I think some of it can be quite complicated for some people to understand. So your family and friends, what would they say you do for a job?
Oh, God. Yeah, that's a running gag. They say I own the internet. I wish it was like that. That's what most of them are saying. And my job description, you could say, changed very often during the last years. So I think it's hard for them to keep up with it. So they just say, I own the internet.
I said like you didn't start in UX design. I think very few people listening would have started in UX design because it's such a young field of work and it's constantly evolving. Now, where do you think UX design might be in the next 10 years?
Oh, tough question. I think there are a lot of changes coming. So starting from the whole VR point, and AR stuff, and we have to deal with we have more voice searches like every day. We have to deal with that as well. This will be a very important aspect on how our websites will be structured in the future. These are the two things I see right now from my perspective.
How do you think we can prepare for this coming like VR, AR technology?
Be interested in technology, read a lot every day, blog posts and stuff like that, and keep yourself updated and just keep your mind open for this.
Because obviously with web design, it's been going for nearly 30 years now. I think we're all pretty good at making websites in general. It's getting harder and harder to find a bad website, which is probably a success in the industry. But VR, AR, do you think we know enough about how to design for it yet?
So I don't. I don't know. What about you? I don't, because right now we do not have the clients for that. So of course we do not spend too much time getting into it, but it becomes more and more important. So right now we have like a whole lot of apps, for example, IKEA and companies like that. They already use it. And with the new iPhone, I think it's the iPhone 12 Pro with the LiDAR scanner, we have like even more possibilities regarding that. And we have to learn a lot, especially our developers.
I was thinking, do you think we got to think about new mental models? So like the Limbic system, to think that will hit its limit, or to think that will just carry on being applicable in these new forms?
I think it still will be applicable, because if you're looking at like the good old theories from the 50s from advertising psychology, they still are relevant, in my opinion. So I think, of course, we will have to adapt it to new situations, like basically every day, but they will still play a role, I think.
Hopefully it'll make the world quite nice, and we'll actually be using technologies to care about each other rather than just sell. Like it's like Amazon, Facebook. At some level, it's quite amazing that we've got all these features, but it's quite scary how they seem to know what buttons to push with us and convince us without us being aware of it.
Yeah, totally. So that would be the manipulation part we just talked about. But I think the moment you are aware of that, like you can act in a different direction. So I think it's fine. And I'm not sure about this, because I prefer like advertisement shown to me or in my email or something that is relevant for me, over like a whole lot of bullshit advertisement I'm not interested in. So it's a tough thing to say. It's a little scary, but I think it has its advantages.
So we've got to make sure we carry on reading every day and stay up with everything. So Hellen, it's been really fantastic talking to you and hearing about your thoughts. So the question I always finish every interview with is, what do you think would make the world a better place?
I think kindness would. This may sound a little naive, but I'm very convinced that it starts with the way you communicate with others. So in everyday situations, especially with strangers, appreciate the people around you and show them by being respectful, saying hello, thank you, you're welcome, smiling at them. And it may sound like small gestures would not make that big of a difference, but to me there's a huge difference between giving your fellow human beings a good feeling, a positive vibe, or spreading negativity to the world.
that's a really beautiful way to finish the session. So Hellen, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.